I still remember the exact sound the phone made when it rang that morning. It was early. The kind of early where the light hasn't fully decided to come in yet. I was sitting at the small table in my kitchen, holding a cup of tea that had already gone cold. When I picked up the phone, I knew something was wrong before a single word was said. My sister-in-law was crying so hard I could barely understand her. She kept saying my brother's name again and again. By the time I understood what she was telling me, my hands were shaking. My younger brother was gone. Just like that. One phone call, and everything I thought I still had time for disappeared. When I was a boy, my brother and I shared a room. 2 narrow beds pushed against opposite walls, with a little space in between where our shoes always ended up. He was 2 years younger than me, smaller, quieter. At night, we would talk after the lights were supposed to be off. Mostly about nothing important. School, friends, things we wanted but didn't have. Sometimes we argued, whispering so our parents wouldn't hear. Other nights we lay there in silence, listening to the house breathe. I always thought those nights would go on forever. As we grew older, life started pulling us in different directions. I went to work early, took whatever job I could get. He stayed in school a bit longer. We still lived under the same roof for years, eating the same food, sitting at the same table. But even then, we were already drifting. Not in a big, dramatic way, just small changes, different schedules, different worries. He liked to sit outside in the evenings. I liked to stay in and rest. We stopped talking late at night. We stopped sharing our thoughts. I didn't notice it happening. I got married in my 20s. He came to the wedding, of course. He stood beside me, smiling, clapping me on the back. I remember thinking how young he still looked. After that, my days filled up quickly. Work in the morning, work again the next day, and the day after that. Bills to pay, a family to take care of. He found his own path, too. We would see each other on holidays, birthdays, sometimes just passing through. Each time we said the same things. How are you? How's work? We should meet more often. And each time we didn't. Most days were very ordinary. I woke up early, washed my face, ate whatever was quick. I went to work, came home tired, ate dinner, and sat quietly until it was time to sleep. On weekends, I fixed things around the house or rested. He had a similar routine, I think. We lived in the same city for years, yet weeks could go by without us speaking. It never felt urgent. We were brothers. I assumed that meant time didn't matter. Years passed like that. Slowly, without any clear moment where I could say, this is when it changed. My children grew up. His hair turned gray. Mine did too. Sometimes I would think of calling him, but then something else would come up. I told myself I'd call tomorrow, or next week, or when things were less busy. Tomorrow always felt available, like it was waiting for me. The first big change came when our mother died. We stood together at the funeral, side by side, both of us quiet. I remember looking at him and thinking we should talk more now. Family felt smaller that day. Afterward, we did talk a bit more. Short calls, checking in. But after a while, old habits returned. Life filled the space again. A few years later, he got sick. Nothing serious at first. At least that's what he said. He brushed it off, laughed it away. I believed him because it was easier than worrying. I visited him once in the hospital. We talked about small things, the weather, the food. I remember there was something I wanted to say, something important, but I didn't know how to start. so I didn't. I told myself I'd say it next time. There wasn't a next time. When I went to see him after he passed, his house was quiet in a way I had never felt before. Everything was still there. His chair, his shoes by the door, a half-finished cup in the kitchen. I stood in the doorway for a long time, just looking. It felt wrong that the world had kept going while he had stopped. I sat down and held his jacket. It still smelled like him. That was when the weight of all the unsaid things finally settled on me. I thought about all the conversations we never had, all the afternoons we could have shared a meal, all the times I chose rest or routine over picking up the phone. None of it was done with bad intentions. I never meant to hurt him. I never meant to drift so far. But intention doesn't change the outcome. After he was gone, my days felt different, quieter. I still woke up, still ate, still followed my routine. But there was a gap I couldn't fill. Sometimes I would reach for the phone without thinking, then stop. There was no one to call. The person I had known my whole life, the one who shared my childhood, was suddenly just a memory. As I got older, loss became more familiar. Friends passed away. More family too. Each time it hurt in its own quiet way. But losing my brother changed something deeper. It made me realize how easily we trade what matters for what feels urgent. How we assume people will always be there because they always have been. Now, at my age, nights are long. I sit alone more than I used to. Sometimes I think back to those early mornings, those late-night talks in our shared room. I wonder what he would say now. I wonder what I would say if I had one more chance. Not anything grand, just simple things. That I was proud of him, that I missed him even when I didn't show it. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Time doesn't announce itself when it's running out. It just keeps moving, quietly. People don't disappear all at once. They fade from our daily lives long before they're gone for good, and we don't notice until it's too late. So if someone comes to your mind while you're listening to this, don't push that thought away. Call them. Sit with them. Say the simple things while you still can. I waited too long, and that's something I carry with me every day. If you've lived through something like this, or if there's someone you wish you had spoken to sooner, you're not alone. If you feel comfortable, share your story in the comments. It helps more than you think. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, consider sharing it with them. If you'd like to hear more stories like mine, you can subscribe. I'll be here, remembering, and hoping you don't make the same mistake I did.